What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. The 6th class in Diablo 4. What is it going to be? We've got some brand new information on more speculation. At the end of the day, no one knows what the official 6th class is. We do have some leaks from a long time ago that actually turned out to be very, very true for the game, and we're going to revisit that legendary Diablo post. So, starting right off, this image here is what a lot of people are referring to as the leaked 6th class. And I say leaked 6th class because this was official artwork, and we'll get into why it's official artwork and essentially why it got removed. And again, this is official artwork, so it has some validity to its post. Now, people have talked about this, but there are actually 3 different possibilities for a new class in the game. So one of them is the Valkyrie. This is the picture over here. We'll go more into this in a second, and it actually seems to be some sort of potential for a holy class. Specifically, the class more than likely will be using a shield and some sort of polearm. As of right now, Barbarian's like the only class that uses a polearm. But again, a lot of people are talking about this, and of course, with the season starting, a lot of people are speculating that this top secret thing, and I'll give you my honest thoughts on it, because I've had a few people ask, what is this top secret thing? Is this how you unlock the next class? Okay, so starting right off, the game, I understand Season 1 is coming out. There's very, very few chances that the first character will be in the battle pass that you unlock. I would love to be wrong on this, okay? I would love for the Amazon or the Paladin or whatever the 6th class is to be unlocked in the battle pass on Season 1. More than likely, guys, my guess is it's going to be released in some sort of expansion pack, and more than likely we will get that character by some sort of a purchase. It's going to be a larger thing than inside of the battle pass, but this is what was shown off in terms of like the top secret. Like, what is it? We don't know. I don't think it's the next class, but my honest guess would be maybe next year in March they would have the class ready for us. Maybe at the earliest they would reveal the class at BlizzCon, but I do not think it's going to come out in Season 1, just as a heads up. But as the season gets closer, people just like to speculate, what is this top secret thing that they're hiding out? If it was just like some sort of seasonal reward, why would they keep it top secret? Honestly, it's probably to get us YouTubers to talk about it at the end of the day, so let's go ahead and dig a little bit deeper. There's more information about another class. So a lot of people are focusing on the Valkyrie, but there is also something called the Blood Knight, which actually has some relation to Immortal, and more likely we will get at some point some sort of a newer class in Immortal. I mean, because it's already actually something that we have artwork for. This is official artwork, and I'll show you guys that in a second. This is via data mining. Now, this post was actually posted 4 years ago, and this person was actually correct on many, many things. I mean, this guy had so much information that turned out to be true. So, starting right off, the information that he posted, again, this was many years ago before the game even got shown off at BlizzCon. This is pre-BlizzCon, which was like the first time that anyone ever saw Diablo. They were saying that the world is going to be very big. It's going to be an MMO. No one believed this guy, by the way, and what's crazy is he was accurate on so many of these things. Sure, everything wasn't 100% accurate, but because he understood that you can execute targets at low HP via mechanic, there was no way someone would understand that that existed in the game unless he worked on the game or he had some sort of insider information. That's a mechanic that ended up becoming injured, as well as execute on the rolls on certain pieces of gear in Diablo 4. There's no way he would have known about that. That's like too specific. Also mentioning that you can only trade like the yellow items, that's very, very specific, and he turned out to be correct on that as well. You see, mostly proven true, pretty close to what was unveiled. I mean, this guy was accurate on a lot of these things, so that's why I'm going to use this as a source. So he mentioned that Paladin, Barbarian, Sorcerer, Amazon, and Druid are planned for launch, with more coming later. He mentions that the Necromancer was something that they might release later. It ended up coming out, and sometimes this happens. They have the class ready, or maybe they hybrid out the class, because honestly, Amazon is kind of similar to the Rogue in a sense, but perhaps they just kind of renamed it and they decided to split off the Amazon in terms of a Javazon into its own class called the Valkyrie, and I'll get more into why I think that that is going to be more than likely the next class. But specifically, they listed Paladin here, and there's more information that we just got with the Paladin that has some sort of lore tie-in with the actual story of Diablo 4 if you actually pay attention to one of the quests that you can do in the game. So going over why I really feel like there is high potential for it to be a Valkyrie. So as far as right now, most items in the game can be equipped by 2 different classes, right? There is one exception. The shield can only be used by the Necromancer, right? And then on top of that, the Barbarian is the only one that can use a polearm in terms of its class. Now, why does this matter? Well, there was artwork that was shown off that actually has a shield and a spear, but that class never came out, and they were right next to each other. So there's a lot of speculation again, and it all ties to this particular image. So let's go into what I also want to talk about, which is the possibility of the class not necessarily being the Valkyrie, but the Blood Knight. This is mentioned in the Book of Lorath, which recently came out alongside with Diablo 4's release, and sometimes they like to kind of hide things, and you're seeing some Amazon gameplay in the background for D2R. But nonetheless, all it really mentions in this that's important is that someone became the first Blood Knight. Now, the thing with the Blood Knight is this has been a class that people have been talking about for so long in Diablo Immortal. We actually already have in-game files for the entire model. Now, is that going to be an NPC? It's possible. Is it part of the storyline, a quest? It could just be an NPC. But because it's created in a female and a male like model, I would say that that allows you to select it, and that more than likely seems more like a character that you would play versus just an NPC. But it's possible, right? But it has starter gear, okay? So I feel like that there's more validity to it because it has starter gear. And that's my honest speculation in terms of it being actually in Diablo Immortal. And what does Diablo Immortal have to do with Diablo 4? Well, more than likely they want the characters to kind of coexist, because if someone, let's say, plays one character in one game, they may be like, well, this is my favorite class, I want to try out Diablo Immortal, and this is a character that I am familiar with, right? So it could be the Blood Knight as well that has some potential. So going back to that one image that I've been showing off again and again, and the reason why I wanted to show it off is it's not just like someone's artwork that they posted on Etsy and it got removed. This was posted on Display, which they have lots of different collaborations with other video games, and this artwork is official artwork by someone, and here is kind of the same image that we have that is similar to the image that got removed. I mean, look at this picture over here. We can see the Necromancer over on the left side. We can also see the Druid right over here, and then we have the Sorceress right over in the top, and on the very top there's that Valkyrie class that people are speculating to be, and then there's also the Barbarian and the Rogue. So could this be an NPC? It's possible, but considering that these characters are kind of highlighted, now the thing is that they do also have like those wings in the background. So there's also some speculation that it was an angel. Most of the time they don't have faces, but this one has a face, and it looks like it has some sort of glowing eyes. Could be a main part of an expansion character, but the fact that this was artwork that was listed and then was removed, and it's looking like very, very good artwork, and I would say that this is more likely something that was created to maybe promote some sort of thing for the game, whether it's wallpapers or whatever the case may be. The fact that it got removed, could the character have been canceled? Possibly, right? Sometimes in games they create characters or they create assets and they save them for later and want them to be revealed later. Maybe they felt like the class was too similar and wasn't ready, or maybe sometimes games they do cut content to release it in another state where maybe they feel like it's ready for the rest of the player base. Now there was also this, and you can find this exact clip if you guys go to any of the BlizzCon 2019 footage with the original 3 classes that were shown, which were the Barbarian, Sorceress, and the Druid. There is a hint right here in the background. Why is there a shield and a spear? Remember, in this version of the game, okay, the 2019 BlizzCon, there was no character that could use a shield. Why is this in the background? Now, if you go to the game right now and you go to the character screen, this is removed. So there is huge speculation to, well, why did they remove it? Is it a hint? Did they have this character class planned and it was removed? Again, it's all speculation. But going further into the artwork over here, I'm gonna go ahead and actually zoom in on this so you guys can kind of see it a little bit more. They are cross-referencing this image over here with the Valkyrie inside a D2R, and they're like kind of saying, oh, look at these exact positions. This is literally the same exact armor inside of course, that image. So it's very similar. I mean, is it absolutely perfect? No, but it's very similar, and sometimes they'll just use some of the in-game models as a reference for the artist, and they will use that as inspiration to kind of build out the character for the wallpaper or whatever the case may be. So there are some similarities, and again, the Valkyrie is this summon right here. So that has a little bit more validity. And I was just kind of checking out, well, what are the other potential picks for the classes, right? Because I talked about Paladin. The guy even referenced to the person that leaked a lot of the information. Again, this was way before the 2019 BlizzCon, all right? This guy had information. He was saying that it is going to be the Paladin. And in Diablo Immortal, there is also the Crusader. This would be a class that would be relatively similar. Now, inside Diablo 4, there are many references to the Paladin Karthus. So he's actually in, okay, I'm just gonna warn you guys as a spoiler. This is gonna spoil the game, this quest. If you haven't seen it, then well, come back later after you've completed the quest if you want to, because you've been warned. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. So you actually do get to fight the Paladin in Diablo 2. His name is Marshal Karthus. So he actually ends up killing Mephisto, but nonetheless, you can actually fight him in the game, and you actually do see a Crusader. Kesnia over here is a Crusader, and they mentioned that their fellow Crusaders won't tread in some certain area. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this text over here. Oh, it doesn't want to zoom in. Nonetheless, the only thing that matters is that she mentions that the other Crusaders refuse to go to this area. Now, if you go to that area, you can actually fight Karthus. So Karthus is a corrupted Zakharum Paladin, and if you do eliminate him, you can get the Blessed Hammer. So if you guys remember, Blessed Hammer is a thing that you had as a skill in Diablo 2, is one of the most popular skills for the Paladin class. So that's an item that exists in the game. Now, there are only technically maces in the game, but there is a Blessed Hammer that you can get, and there's more to this story, and I'm going to go ahead and also link this video by Dark Lord Dash, which I think is excellent and explains more about the Paladin and talks about, you know, what I kind of just went over here via the screenshot, that the Paladin does have a quest line, and sometimes in these Blizzard games, they kind of reveal information for us for, of course, what's to come. I mean, some of these things were hidden plain in sight, especially if you've played Overwatch. Yeah, there was a lot of things that were literally shown off in some of the different little cinematics and stuff, and they like to hide stuff, and because there's a whole Paladin quest, a lot of people may think that the Paladin will be the next class. So my question to you, do you guys think that it is going to be the Paladin, or do you think it has to be the Valkyrie, or do you think it is actually going to be the Blood Knight? Because this is mentioned in the Book of Lorath, and obviously if they're trying to promote the book, there could be some information that we can gain out of it. In fact, this talks about basically like we're in the book as well. So there are some Easter eggs in here and kind of hints towards other things that we may have not discovered yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's all the information we have in terms of the next class, or 3 possible options. I'm curious to know, which one would you guys like to see out of all of them? Personally, for me, I think it definitely has the highest chance to be the Valkyrie, because again, they have that spear as well as that shield, and on top of that, that official artwork leak. That's the one that I think has the highest chance, but that's the class I would like to also see. So I'm curious to know, which one would you like to see if any of these are available? Which one would you like to see the most? And on top of that, which one do you think is going to actually be the one? Anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. But if you guys want to see more and a follow-up to any other Diablo conspiracy theories or ideas in the future, hit subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll definitely see more. Take care. Check the pinned comment for even more Diablo content.